British Superbike Series moved to Cadwell Park for round 9, and so did a record crowd. 1 point separates round 8 double winner Walker from a red-hot Hodgson. He'll do whatever it takes and live with the tag, no more Mr. Nice Guy. They don't want to be friends, just British Superbike champion, even in qualifying. We open with the top 4 in the series side by side on the grid. In a slippery Supersport session, Kirk McCarthy had trouble with Jim Moody, again. And we round off with a stunning Superbike spectacle. The boys are earning their money this year. Which is why so many people battle past police speed traps, queued for hours at the gate, and crammed every vantage point in Cadwell's beautiful parkland. There's another good reason too. The continuing advance of the spectacular Chris Walker. There's no other rider who gives better value for money, and after 3 years of being runner-up, wants to win this title. The man of the moment is with me right now. Chris Walker is just 1 point away from Neil Hodgson in the championship. Chris, a third of the season left to go, and you're applying the pressure, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's getting pretty exciting. We've had a good run, really, the last few races, and getting to grips with Suzuki more and more every time I ride it, and coming to a few tracks that I really like. Cadwell Park this weekend is one of my favourites. Mallory Park the next time out, definitely my favourite, and back to Brands and Donington. So, no, really looking forward to the last third of the season.
Do you know what impresses us at Sky Sports about you is you never actually give up. You're there all the time, tearing away at it. It doesn't matter whether you're on the bike, off the bike, in the paddock, wherever you are, you never actually give way. You're always at it all the time. Is that your personality generally, or does it mean so much to you? You've just got to do whatever it takes.
I mean, it is definitely how I am a little bit, but I mean, I do try and do whatever it takes to try and, you know, win the races and win the championship. I've been really close the last 3 years. It's got closer every year, and you know, managed to take it to the last race of the last round last season, and hopefully we'll be doing the same this year. But no, I mean, people say I'm aggressive, this, that, but I just, you know, when you're out on the circuit, Suzuki, you know, they've paid me to do a job and to try and win races for them, and obviously that's what I'm out there trying to do. And this is the best team I've ever ridden for, and they really, really do try so hard. I'd feel guilty if I didn't try as hard as they do, you know. So I think it's kind of a big package thing, and things are looking good so far.
Well, the same could be said, of course, about Neil Hodgson. He's the man that could say the same about his team, GSE, working quite well for him. Yeah. But you've managed to catch him after he had quite a substantial lead in the series, narrowed him down to 1 point, forced him into possibly an error in the second race at Knock Hill. Do you feel you have the upper hand now? Do you feel that your personality, your mentality is better than his?
No, I mean, Neil's been riding fantastic all year, and like you said, he's got a superb team around him as well, and his bikes are going real good, and I mean, nobody's really riding any better than Neil. Obviously Aidan's flying, so's Reynolds, and the championship's not just about me and Neil, it's still alive for a lot of people. As at Knock Hill proved, only takes one mistake and you're suddenly out of the game or you're back in the game. So I'm just, you know, trying to keep my head down and carry on doing what I've been doing the last few races, really.
How strong do you feel with this bike, with the Suzuki?
I love it to bits. Yeah, I mean, I'm desperate to stay on board with Suzuki next year. Hopefully, you know, move into the World Series with Suzuki. That's I think what I've got my fingers crossed for. You know, there's a bit of a door they're going to open for me if I do win the British Championship, but you know, that's going to be tough. It's not been easy all year. It's not been easy for the last 3 years. So hopefully, they won't be, you know, pinning everything on that. But no, Suzuki's been real good to me, and I love the bike.
Things are on a roll. Knock Hill, the first double of the year. I mean, that's a superb performance, wet or dry. Did you, when you got to Knock Hill, it's a strange kind of place, did you know that you were going to go that good? Did you feel it in your heart that you were going to be able to go that good?
You never know, really. This year, so you know, I'm kind of up against it every qualifying session, every race. There's always somebody there. You know, if it's not Hodgson, Mackenzie's going good. If it's not Mackenzie, Hayden's flying. If it's not him, Reynolds is flying. And obviously his lot's been going real good. Unfortunately, a bit of an accident at Brands has put him out the last couple of races, which is a real shame because it was kind of doing the championship good, getting somebody else up on the rostrum and keeping the big points off some of the front runners. So not really. I didn't go there thinking, oh, I'm going to win both races this weekend. I go to every race meeting hoping I'm going to and trying to, but Knock Hill's been good to me in the past. I do like the circuit, and it's one of the best race meetings of the year. The atmosphere is always fantastic. Unlike the British races and all the Scots, they get the bikes out and everybody goes along. Doesn't matter what the weather is, there's thousands of bikes around, and they just scream for everybody. They're brilliant, and they really do make a big effort at the race circuit to put on a good show. So it's down to us to do the rest, and fortunately came out on top.
Neil Mackenzie was looking for his second pole of the year, but he'd have to be quick to catch Chris Walker and co. They were flying. Neil Hodgson was the man to beat, though. His qualifying lap on the modified track was nearly half a second quicker than anyone else. Could this be why? what's a lap of Cadwell Park like? We're on board with Chris Walker. Banging it down the gearbox into fourth gear then, and 120 mile an hour for Coppice Corner. It's a short straight up towards the third gear double right-hander Charlie's. 95 mile an hour at the slowest point here. Then onto the park straight, up through the gearbox to sixth gear, 165 miles an hour, just out of the dip and into the braking area of Park Corner, second or third gear, depending on if there's any traffic there, and down to 60 miles an hour at the slowest point. Up into fourth gear, short shifting. Then it's Chris Curve, holding fourth gear all the way through, building up to 130 miles an hour before braking, crank right over for the gooseneck. Still in third gear now, 80 miles an hour at the slowest point. Back down the gearbox to second gear in the braking area of Mansfield Corner, 55 miles an hour here. Back up through the gearbox, 2 gears for Chris. Fifth gear then, 155 miles an hour before braking down to second gear and 50 mile an hour into the left-right flop before over the mountain we go. Paul Benz is next, third gear, 65 miles an hour at the slowest point just here. Then it's a blast, a short blast, down the gearbox to first gear, 40 miles an hour at the hairpin now. Barn Corner's next, up to second gear and 55 miles an hour for Barn before accelerating out onto the start and finish straight, up through the gearbox, sixth gear and 160 miles an hour. Steve Hislop was expecting a good result at Cadwell Park, but still hadn't recovered from his massive Brands crash. Steve, just put it into context for us mere mortals. I mean, what is the problem? Because you look quite fit.
Yeah, I feel great in myself and no pain or anything, but when I actually ride the bike, I've just no strength in my left arm. I can't change direction. I can't even kind of lock my arm in when I'm braking against it, so I just tend to be wanting to fall off the side all the time. And what it is basically trapped and stretched nerves, a combination of the two in the neck and the top of the shoulder. And it's just a time thing. It's just they have to come back to life basically before they kick the old muscles back into life. So frustrating, just so frustrating.
Frustrated he may be, but impressed definitely by Hodgson's stunning qualifying lap.
Worked hard again all through the session. Main priority was to try and get a race set up and try and find a race tyre. Before I came into the session I was struggling really. I had 3 or 4 tyres to choose from and they all felt very similar, but I worked through them in that session and found a good one. And then came in with 10 minutes to go and put a softer race tyre in and just put a good lap together.
The highlight of final qualifying was the sight of the championship contenders chasing each other round in what could have been mistaken as a light-hearted session. It was high speed, cat and mouse.
Yeah, it was pretty close. I mean, Neil obviously lit it up in the last few minutes and went even faster than this morning, so fair play to him really. But I just struggled a little bit, to be honest, in that session, trying to do real fast laps, but we just worked really on a race setup and trying to choose a race tyre for tomorrow, and that's what it's all about. But hopefully it'll, you know, pay dividends tomorrow.
David Jeffries had a tough weekend. He'd been drafted into the Virgin Mobile Yamaha squad, but still had to race his super stocks. He suddenly looked serious.
And the thing with the Superbikes is it's just the next stage up. It's just harder work, it's more physical, moving about on the bike, you're riding harder, and as we've all seen, the Superbike boys don't hang about. So I think we definitely be a little, it's just the next level of fitness and commitment and focus, mental fitness and physical fitness. So, but it's good, I'm really looking forward to it.
Despite still carrying injury, James Hayden looked like he was enjoying himself, and he was fast too. Front row of the grid suits you, sir. Teammate John Reynolds and former championship leader was fourth and completed the front row. Former Supersport star Steve Plater, now injury-free, was proving once again he'll be a contender on a Superbike. And it was good to see Sean Emmett enjoying himself on the Travis Perkins Honda. Team manager Lester Harris almost had a smile on his face too. This year's been a nightmare of smashed bikes and riders. Could Cadwell be the turning point? Ditto for last year's Supersports champ John Crawford. 6th place on the grid's never been so tough. That's the lineup today. The fans know who'll win the series this year, but what about the professionals' tip on who'll be champion?
Chris Walker or Neil Hodgson.
Oh, come on, give us a specific answer.
No, we'll have to wait and see. I think they're both riding really good this year, so time will tell.
I actually think